Hi friends, David here from Learn Stage Lighting. And if you landed here, then it sounds like you want to set up the Netron RP2. Now the Netron RP2 is just a great little box that allows you to shut off power to your gear when you're not using it and turn on power to that equipment for your whole stage only at the times when you want to use it. It has 16 amps of possible throughput, so it can control a fair amount of fixtures, pretty much as a normal circuit, a little bit less. And it does that in 2 separate switchable outputs. In terms of setup, it's actually really simple. First thing you're going to want to do is plug in your power input from your wall power, from wherever you're getting your power in your facility. Plug in your outputs. There are 2. You can use just one or you can use both. It doesn't matter. It is 16 amps total across both outputs. So whether you put it on one or put it on 2, it doesn't matter. You don't get more output wattage if you spread it across 2. Okay, it's just there as an option, so you have that ability. All right, so you go ahead and you get that going. So we're all plugged in. Then DMX. So we've plugged in DMX to the front, and I'm going to pop to my overhead and find my shot here. And now we've got a couple things showing by default. So out of the box, I've actually configured this one a little bit. It will be in DMX detect mode. So I've gone ahead and put this one in that mode. Okay. DMX detect mode will show you, once it clicks in there, yep. Once it refreshes, that when it gets DMX, it turns on both relays, and that's displayed on the screen. If we unplug DMX or turn off our console, DMX will drop, and very good. So the reason it hasn't shut off is because, boom, in the setup, in the menu, as the Netron people always do for us, which is so lovely, is upon DMX loss, there is the option to hold power for 5 minutes. This is awesome, and I love that they've set it up this way by default, because that means if you need to restart your console, if, whatever happens, like the console gets unplugged for a second because you got to reroute a cable, like all your stuff doesn't go and shut off and come back on, right? It'll stay on for 5 minutes. If it still doesn't have DMX in 5 minutes, then it will shut off all your stuff. Okay, let's walk through a few more of the settings that we see in the menu. So the simplest way to set these guys up, as I mentioned, camera 4 there, is to just hit the button here, get into the menu, excelente. And this time, once we find the camera, you see we have the preset options. So those are the simplest. We have DMX detect, which is the default. Just, hey, when you get DMX, turn on. When you lose it, turn off. And DMX relay. So when we toggle DMX relay and we set our start address, in this case I have it patched at 83, you see now we get a 2-channel relay. So channel 1 would be on, 2 would be off. If you are using the DMX relay mode, I would recommend storing it into your defaults when your console boots. And this, in Onyx, it's called the default preset. In other consoles, it'll be other things. Just having a cue or whatever that launches right away, turns it on, you don't have to turn it on manually, is great. You do have to remember, though, to turn it off when the console shuts off. To go ahead and turn that value off when the console shows off so that you're good to go. We do have some other settings in here as well, which is helpful. So besides the presets, there is control. So for the 2 outputs, it's just telling you what their status is, and you can change it. Okay. Then we've got DMX. So we can set it to DMX mode. We can set the address. We can set it to DMX detect mode, which in this case we are currently disabled. But it looks like we should be able to set our outputs to those modes individually, which is stinking cool. DMX loss. I'm going to set it, just for the sake of example, to hold for 0 seconds. Then we've got the power menu. This allows you to meter the power, which is stinking cool. So like I'm plugged into output 1. It tells me this fixture is pulling 2.1 amps. It's currently 116 volts, which is super cool. That lets you know exactly where you're at, what you're pulling. You can always check on that per output or total. Whoops. Timer. This allows you to set up events and set timers, which are cool. This just allows you to set it, start it, and have it timed for a certain amount of time, which is very cool. Not something I see myself using a ton, but I know some people will. System. This allows you to say it's startup. Are they on? Are they off? Are they both on 1 and 2? By default, of course, they're off at startup, and I think that's generally the best solution. You can set the date and time because, well, let's face it, you can do calendar-based events with that event section. Device name, you can set that name. I believe these do have RDM, so you can reach them by that way, etc. Display, you can have it time out the display so that the display is not on all the time, which is helpful, like for pretty much anybody. You can reset the stats, lock it, do a factory reset, which we're not going to do right now. And that's about that. So, really cool device, a lot of cool stuff under the hood, a lot of great setup just to be able to go and go, hey, boom, I plug in DMX, you know, it turns on, or I control it remotely from the console, either 1-channel or 2-channel mode, to be able to just simply go, hey, I just turned it off. Turn it back on from the console, boom, I hear the click, the fixture takes a minute to boot up, and you're ready to rock and roll. So that's the cut and dry, that's the quick and simple, but the Netron RP2 from Obsidian Control Systems, it's just an awesome way for, you know, not a ton of money considering how much fixtures cost, to be able to go and cycle your power off to those fixtures so that you're able to protect them over the long run and be able to save that money so that your fixtures all last longer. I recommend anybody doing a permanent installation, install relays. They're worth it, and the RP2 has brought portable, easy to set up relays that anybody can set up to the hands of anyone for, honestly, like pretty much the same cost as getting a hardwired relay panel. And you can move this around, you can rearrange it in the future, it's flexible. It's just a no-brainer. If you're permanently installing lights, go get yourself some relays. We love the Netron RP2. We stock it at Learn Stage Lighting Gear. And whether you need an RP2, whether you need 10 of them, or you need anything else, we would love to help you, and we would love to be your source to get all of your lighting gear, as well as audio and video. You never know what you're going to find. Head over to LearnStageLightingGear.com. We'd love to help. Thank you guys so much, and have a great day.